Hi everyone! I am going to give you some tips and tricks today for painting your topographic model. Topographic. First I'm going to cover my workspace with some cardboard because we're going to use paint today. And I don't want to make a mess. And I'm going to use an egg carton as my palette today to help me plan the colors that I'm going to need. You're going to be starting with 3 primary colors. Yours may be a little bit different than mine, but essentially you should have a cyan, a yellow, and a magenta, or just red, yellow, and blue. These are primaries or printing primaries. And from these 3, we can make all the different colors that we need. Make sure that when you start using the paint, you first of all pay attention to what kind of paint you have. I have tempera, which is washable, which is great. If you have acrylic, it's not, so don't get it on your clothes. You're gonna need to shake it up, make sure that the lid is tight, cover up the lid while you shake again so you don't get it all over your clothes. And then for each color, we are going to fill one of the egg cups here. So here's one. And I'm just going to start with 2 colors for right now. I don't want that to flip over. I'm going to start with the blue and the red. I think that'll be obvious enough for you to see. Or cyan and magenta. And I'm going to start with them at opposite sides of the spectrum. Okay? I'm using the top row on purpose here. Okay, of these 2 colors, we can see that the lighter pigment is the magenta. So what this means is that I'm going to blend them coming towards the middle, which means I know I don't have an odd number of egg cups here, but somewhere in the middle here I should have a really good purple that is half this and half that, essentially. But what I want to do is use the lighter color as a base in each of these egg cups, and then I'm going to be intentional about just using drops of blue because it's so much darker to make the colors I want. So starting here, I'm just going to fill the base of each of these egg cups. And if these aren't the colors you want to use, don't worry, because I'm going to do the same thing using the yellow in a second. All right, now we want to be a little bit scientific with this because this is a design class and we don't want to just mix random colors like we did in kindergarten. We're really trying to get a gradient of colors so that we can tell individually what each color is. So if I want this to be pure magenta, I'm going to leave that there. I'm just going to put 1 drop as carefully as I can. Obviously, I could measure this to be even more precise. 1 drop of blue in here. Then I'm going to do 2 in the next one. 2 bloops. And then 3, and I'm going to see if that gives me enough differentiation between each one. And here comes 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to see if that gives me enough of a differentiation between each color, or if I need to do like 1 drop, 4 drops, 8 drops, something more dramatic. So I'm gonna get a Sharpie real quick and label what I'm doing so far, just kind of right up above this. So this is 1 drop, so far this is 2, this is 3, and this is 4. And this is blue or cyan, and this is red or magenta. Okay, now I can cross out and change these numbers if I need to. I'm just going to use 1 brush, and I'm going to start with the lightest and go darker so that I don't have to have a different brush for each of these egg cups. Another solution would be if you had popsicle sticks, you could dedicate 1 to each of these colors. But this is the way I'm going to do it. So I'm going to mix until I don't see any streaks. Notice how just 1 drop, and really it was more like 1 squirt, makes a pretty rich purple color. Now I would call this kind of a pinkish purple. Let me see if I can zoom in some more. But still, that was just 1 drop. So you can see how important this is. to start with your light color and only add a little bit of the blue. Now I'm going to keep going, but if I decide, man, I really want some more magenta, I could do the same kind of math going back this way, and I could do something like, I'm going to add 10 squirts of magenta to this, and maybe only 8 to this, and maybe only 6 here and 4 here, just to lighten things up. But let's just see what we get first. So I'm mixing this one up. There was already paint on my brush, so it's not going to be perfect. But I'm mixing until I don't see any more streaks. I'm trying not to spill into the cup next door, which I kind of did. Okay, so I don't know how good the lighting is. I can definitely tell from where I am sitting that this is more blue than this one. But definitely it's not a great progression from pink to this one. That's a big jump. And then it's a very subtle jump here in these classes. And when we're painting topographic models, or when we're choosing color schemes for maps, it's so important that your eye can tell the difference between categories at a glance. So it looks like I'm going to need to do some adjustments. Mixing this one, it definitely looks more blue to my eyes, but I bet it's not very noticeable to the camera. You can kind of see it. And then last one here. Oh, this one's staying really blue. I'm pretty pleased with this one. Still got a little bit of mixing to do. Okay, okay. All right, so here's what I would say so far. I think that these 4 are a good progression, but they're still too similar to each other. And of course, the ones at the end really stand out. I would say that the blue, I'm gonna rotate this a bit, the blue to this is actually a pretty good transition. I can tell they're different colors, but it's not a huge, huge leap. So I could see those on my topographic model. I think that would be fine. So I have some choices to make here. I could either add some blue to this one and not go all the way to magenta, or I could try to make some differences coming this direction so that I have more magenta, and that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna put my brush aside for a second. Let me zoom back out. Whoa, how do I zoom back out? Hello, where did my zoom go? Oh, there it is, okay. I'm gonna zoom back out. I'm just resting my brush on the cardboard, not the table. Okay, so these are the drops of blue that I use. So I'm gonna go ahead and label those. This is how many squirts of blue. Keeping track of my scientific mixes here. And now I'm gonna add some drops of red going this way. I want more red on this side and less red on this side, or pink or magenta, however you wanna call it. Okay, so I'm thinking I'm gonna try, since these 2 are really different, I'm gonna try 4 drops of red first. And then I want there to be a bigger difference instead of just going by 1 squirt. So I'm gonna try going 6. Oh no, I need to go down. I need to go down because I need less red as I go this way. Okay, so if I do 6, 4, 2, nothing, I like that. I'm gonna do 6 drops of red here, 4 drops of red here, 2 drops of red here, and then 0 additional drops of red here. Obviously there was already red when I started, but this is just my recipe for where I'm going from here. Almost like a cooking class. All right, so 6 squirts of red here. Let's just see, I'm gonna add like 4 of them before I add all of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. One of those was kind of big. Now I do have a darker brush right now, so I'm actually gonna set that aside, and I'm gonna use another brush, or you could use a popsicle stick or something to mix this so I don't get too much dark stuff in it, because dark is very effective. You'll probably notice I didn't put any black paint in the classroom because everyone always overuses it and then wastes a lot of paint. That is looking a million times better. It's very different from the pink here. I'll hold it up to the light so you can see it. That's way better. totally two different colors, but this looks much more pink than it did before. Now that was just 4 drops. I'm gonna go ahead and put 2 more because I think it'll be good. Oh, one of those was kind of big. Okay. Oh, I'm getting way more satisfied with the color progression. Notice I'm scraping off the extra paint from my brush so I don't waste any. This is way better. Okay, so I have done my 6 drops of red. Now I'm gonna do 4 here. See what happens. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm still gonna use the same brush because I'm getting darker. Okay. Oh yeah, okay. I like that this looks different from the one next to it. Like really different. But it's still a nice progression. Ooh, I'm much happier. See how we're going like magenta and then a pinkish purple and then a true purple and then a bluish purple. So that worked for 4 drops for me. Now I'm gonna do 2 right here and I'm gonna see if there's enough difference between this one and this one or if I need to do some further tweaking. Okay, that was 2 drops of red. Scraping it off. Okay, I would say from what I'm seeing, sorry the lighting isn't great. I would say that there's enough difference between this one and this one. It's easier for my eyes to see it than for me to see it in the camera. Let me try a lighting change. Yeah, I think that's easier to see. Okay, I think there is enough difference between these two. There is not enough difference between these two. So I'm gonna add a drop of blue to this to make it even more blue because that's the direction of the spectrum I'm on. Okay, I think I'm gonna do just 2 drops of this, which means 1, 2, those are kind of big, but at least I'm being consistent. I'm gonna change my mark here from 4 squirts of blue to 6. And I'm gonna mix it together with the darker brush that I was using. Let's see what happens. Now I'm almost overflowing my egg cup. If that happens, just start another one near it because it's important to keep your colors pure. Not bad. Okay, I'll move my hand so you can see. So I know there's a little bit of shadow. There's definitely more difference. I'm gonna do 2 more. And this is the part where my math isn't perfect intervals now, but now that I have enough difference between my colors, I'm using my eyes to just say, can I immediately detect the difference between colors that are next to each other? If I can't, or if I call a friend over and they're like, yeah, those 2 colors pretty much look the same, I gotta keep working. It's getting harder to mix without slashing over the edges. I'm happy with that, okay. This is a purplish blue, but it's definitely, when I put it next to this, excuse me, when I put it next to this, there's still a noticeable difference. So here I have a really nice palette that now I can use to paint my topographic model. I'm gonna do another video, same kind of thing, but I'm gonna use yellow going to pink so that you can make like oranges in between. And I'm also gonna make one that's more like a time lapse, just really fast, that, that goes cyan to yellow, which makes greens in the middle. So you can watch one of those really fast if you want to. I hope that this was helpful. Yeah, can't wait to see what you come up with. Hey, I forgot to show the most fun part, which is putting it all together. So one more time, I'm taking a clean brush, starting at the light end, and now I'm just gonna test and see what it looks like if I paint using one color to the next. So I'm gonna scrape off the extra paint here. Okay, I'm gonna get this one. Okay, the nice thing is when the paint is wet, you can really get a nice blend between the 2 colors. Okay, those 2 definitely different from each other. So far, I'm having success. I'm gonna switch my brush because I already have one that kind of matches right here. I'm gonna mix it really good though to make sure that's what's loaded on my brush. Okay, yes, I'm very pleased with that. Okay, scrape off my brush. Next color, mix, mix, mix to make sure my brush is loaded. Yeah, I see the difference. Okay, scrape off that brush, and now I'm going to use this one that already has some of this blue, purple, kind of dark blue. Here's the next one. Yes, I'm happy with that. And finally, the very end, I kind of want a new brush for this, but I'm running out just for this sample video, so I'm just gonna load it up real thick. Boom. That, my friends, is a beautiful progression. I have 6 classes that can clearly be told one from the other. Awesome. Okay, you can see I had some problems with this one. Mostly that I ran out of yellow paint, had to use some mustard. Don't worry, I won't eat that paint. And my amounts of yellow over here are way less than over here. So even though I tried to do some math, this is clearly not exactly the right math. My guess for the equation is that I should go from only yellow to 1 drop of magenta to 4 to 8 to 16. And then of course it's all magenta. That would be an interesting math challenge for you to graph that function and tell me what the equation of that recipe is. Anyway, besides that, I can at least see that I've gotten to a point where I have 6 different classes. So let's test those. Okay, so kind of wiping off my brush over here because I'm out of clean brushes. So I'm going to start with my yellow, which I'm kind of mucking it up a little bit because I'm using a dirty brush. But let's start with our light as we did last time. So here's the yellow. I'll move this a little bit because of the shadow. Next, I'm loading up on the one that had 1 drop of magenta. Those are close. Those are definitely close. So I think I could do some more work there. This is the one with a lot of mustard in it though. So I'm not gonna stress about it just this moment. You should though if you're actually painting a model, and don't paint with mustard. Okay, little bit different. I think we could still have some more variation there. Here's the next one. Now we're really getting into the oranges. Yeah, I really need to keep working on this middle one because even though it's kind of a nice macaroni and cheese color, and I can see it's different between these two, it's still a little too close to the yellow and not close enough to this orange. So I'm gonna keep working on that, especially once I get more yellow paint. Okay, here's our next orange. That's a clear difference. That's good. That's a good transition. And the nice thing about starting with 6 classes is if you decide, hey, let's just get rid of this yellow one and have 5 classes, that would actually work pretty well. I think that could work. You don't have to have 6 classes. That's another concern for another mapping class. And there's our magenta. Very cool. Now, if you were, blending all of this with a nice wet brush too, look at the effects you can get kind of going over the line between the two when it's nice and wet. Of course, I would need a cleaner brush to really make this happen effectively. But the good thing is you could see at the beginning how different the colors were, and then you can really see how they can be blended together. I'm kind of tracking too much orange in because I've got a dirty brush. Do this with a clean brush, people. But yeah, you get a really nice ombre effect, and you could even go over that again. If it was me, I would get a clean brush and go from light to dark one last time and really blend it in. Okay, I hope that was helpful. I was gonna do a video showing how to blend yellow and blue to make greens, but I'm gonna leave you to figure that out because I'm out of paint. Have a good one, guys.